Welcome back, everybody, to the Michigan Trails Report podcast. I am your host, Tom Funk. Thanks for joining me once again. And in today's podcast, we're going to cover another chapter in the 50 Hikes on Michigan and Wisconsin's North Country Trail, the guidebook that just celebrated its 8th anniversary. And there's been a bunch of changes, so if you were listening to the previous podcast, I pretty much crammed together like 4 of them, because there's so many changes between the eastern part of Wisconsin and the Michigan state line, and then even into Michigan a little bit up until the Black River Corridor. But anyways, we're getting back on track here with hike number 35 in the Trapp Hills, which is going to be today a 20-mile segment, and it is going to be starting at M64, and it's going to end at Norwich Road, and it's a 10 to 15 hour hump. You may want to break this into 2 days. It took me 2 days to hike this back in the day. So without any further ado, let's get started. So this is a remote area of the Ottawa National Forest, and it is the beginning of what is considered the most rugged and demanding section of the North Country Trail in Michigan. The trail switches back and forth considerably today, so along with ascending and descending hills that you'll find that they're also quite steep. Trapp Hills is so named because of basaltic lava flows that are sometimes known as Trapp Rock. Although the Trapp Hills rise only 500 feet above the surrounding landscape, your view is worth the effort, as you'll get to see unbroken forest with few signs of humans in every direction. This hike is a lesson in geology. Just over 1 billion years ago, a great rift opened up in the area that now houses the Lake Superior Basin. Lava spilled out, and after it cooled, sediment filled the basin, and these materials created today's rock formations made of andesite, basalt, conglomerate, rhyolite, sandstone, and more. The rock formations of the Trapp Hills are so dense that they are mostly undamaged from the numerous advancing and retreating glaciers. So this is going to allow you for a lot of cliff views, since this rock resisted the glaciers back in the day. And it's mostly on south-facing sides of the formation. The underlying rock actually slopes toward the north between 10 and 20 degrees. And the up and down nature of your hikes brings you to cliffs, but also descends into numerous valleys, which are mostly oriented north-south or northwest to southeast and are home to a few streams providing reliable water. It is in the valleys that these glaciers did most of their scouring and sculpting, not at the tops of the hills. Humans have been roaming this area since about 6,000 years ago. Signs have been found of native people exploring for copper. Prospectors actually flocked to the area in the 1840s when the famed 2-ton Ontonagon boulder, which was made of solid copper, was found. Soon after, exploration pits and mines popped up in the area. What actually ended up happening, ironically, is they found out the Ontonagon boulder. It really wasn't from the area. It was actually pushed down here from Lake Superior by glaciers. And I like to point out that the glacial theory it really wasn't out there back in the 1860s, so they really didn't know any better. So, and anyway, since the decline of copper mining, timber harvesting and recreation have dominated the area in the Trapp Hills. This trail, again, has steep climbs, and the path is mostly roots and rocks. Everything gets slippery when it gets wet as well. So you should be in pretty good shape to be doing this. This is a rugged trail, and it is remote. You're going to be self-contained for several days in this area. So the road names in here, though, when you get the maps out, they are confusing. You can have 3 different maps, and they'll have 3 different road names. I suggest going into the Forest Service office and getting the Ottawa National Forest map and then comparing the other maps to it. Logging operations in the area, they're frequent as well, so you should be prepared to bushwhack to the nearest road, which I had to do back in the day. So, again, check in with the Forest Service for any logging activity. Bear, they're prevalent. They're pretty dense in the valleys and low on the ridge tops. So the only time they really get up into the elevated areas is during blueberry season. So your west trailhead can be reached by traveling on M64 to a point about 7 miles north of Bergland. The east trailhead is on Norwich Road, about 9.5 miles north of Matchwood. Alternatively, you can take Norwich Road 14 miles to the south from its intersection with M64 just west of Ontonagon. And as far as facilities and services, El Zippo and backcountry camping is permitted on this stretch. With your back to M64, follow the Blue Blazes east and take a deep breath before you climb about 700 feet in elevation to the top of Bergland Hill, a former location of a lookout tower, and just past the site, about 3 miles, is old M64. And you've just climbed your first hill of the many you're going to climb in Trapp Hills. And the habitat's hardwood forest, and it's quite dry. From here to Victoria, the trail zigzags, ascends, descends with spectacular views. Old M64 is lightly used, and it is a gravel road. Hike into the woods, and at the 3.8 mile mark, cross Forest Road 326. You'll have climbed in elevation only to drop, walking near an old beaver pond through mucky footing. Intersect the Gogebic Ridge Trail at the 4.8 mile mark, which heads southwest for 8 miles, crossing old M64. The trail continues to zigzag, ascending and hugging the edge of the Trapp Hills for more great views. You should be huffing and puffing by now. And this is part of the reward of having a great hike in front of you. The Forest Road 326 access trail is at the 7.3 mile point into the segment's hike, and shortly after, look for a spur trail, which is known as the Hacking Site Trail, marked with white blazes, and that intersects the North Country Trail and heads left or northwest for 1 mile to Forest Road 326. A hiker registration box, last I knew, was located at this intersection. And shortly before Bush Creek, at the 9.0 mile mark, you will cross the Canadian National Railroad. There is a bridge crossing the creek, which will be replaced as it is in disrepair. And as of last I knew, it is still the bridge is still out and has not been replaced. You are at the bottom of a river valley, and you'll be ascending back up into the hills shortly. And good campsites are hard to find near the creek due to the wet ground and the alder thicket. So get out of this swampy area and onto drier land for potential backcountry camping opportunities. And you'll continue your adventure of climbing up and down and across the landscape. At 13.1 miles, cross Forest Road 400, a lightly used forest road. There is possible camping and roadside parking right in this area, and the road is marked with a Forest Service sign. There's a nice view in this trail segment, and the camping is also possible 700 feet west of Forest Road 400 along an intermittent rocky stream. Cross Forest Road 630 at the 16.4 mile mark, a gravel road not plowed in the winter. The topography east of Forest Road 630 is flatter and contains mixed forest. And in 1.6 miles is an unnamed stream, which is considered a reliable water source with potential campsites west of the stream crossing. A named stream, Mason Creek, at the 9.9 mile mark, is another reliable stream with a bridge. This is the last water for about 4 miles until you have to cross Norwich Road at the 20.1 mile mark. Norwich Road, well, this is your last paved road until you reach Victoria, and this would be your best place to hitch a ride north and then east on Victoria Road to Rockland if you needed to resupply. Rockland has a post office, a small store, there is a place to eat and lodging, or you can go on to Ontonagon, which has full services, including medical care, and you could go down to south to Bergland, which is what I did back in the day, where there's camping, a restaurant, and a post office. So, this area is pretty remote and takes some planning, but it can be done, and it's becoming more popular with backpackers. The trick is spotting cars. There's really no transportation options up there. what folks have done is there's apparently an intermittent taxi service out of Lance, and you may have to rely on the North Country Trail chapter to help you in this area. Or as I did, friends and family. All right, there you go. That is hike number 35. And this is the Michigan Trails Report. Thanking you again for playing along. And we will see you again. And our next hike is the Ontonagon River Valley. We'll see you again.